Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Thirsty Thursday edition of The Rundown. I will be your host. My name is Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
You sounded Scottish there for a minute. I didn't do this.
I do not.
Hey, welcome to the Rundown. My name is Mike Porsky, coming to you live from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most. I am your co-host with the most for the day, where we bring you 2A news and conservative views here on the Rundown.
Yes, sirree, Bob. Yes, sirree, Bob. Sir, how was your hump day?
Oh boy, it was very humpy. It was right in the middle. There was a lot of stuff going on. A long humpy day.
Well, I got to tell you, I was a little frustrated with my hump day because I found out we are once again on the Rundown. We are once again off of YouTube.
Is that because, Craig, the COVID is fake?
The COVID is not fake.
Evidently, when I said that yesterday as a joke,
right?
When I said clearly as entertainment, I said, Craig, it's because we say the COVID is fake that they suspended us for me saying in jest that the COVID is fake. So
here's what they do, folks. They don't tell you that, they don't tell you why you're off. What they do is they give you a thing. Well, was it misinformation? They don't tell you what the misinformation was. In this case, it was medical misinformation. Now, the only thing we talked about medically was, in fact, that particular joke that he made. It was the only time we talked about anything medically on the entire show. And when we appealed it, I said that was literally the only thing that was said. And yet they rejected our appeal.
Hey, F them. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
Well, what's funny is, and here's what's funny is that if you go and you look on the things that you're not supposed to say, the things you're not supposed to say include that, you're not supposed to recommend things like hydroxychloroquine or ivermectin as therapeutics for COVID-19.
Right.
Now, they ignore the fact that there are, in fact, some studies that actually do show that they do show some efficacy. But, you're not allowed to talk about those things.
And I'm a licensed medical professional, right? But they won't give me any credence towards what I have to say about that either. So,
well, because you're not of the right political ideology as a medical professional. And see, we all know this is about the politics. It's not about the medicine.
It's about the political science, not about the science.
Exactly. It's about extremism in social media. And Mike, I think that kind of leads us into our first story. Talking about extremism, or in this case, political extremism, one of the things that AP News, which we all know is no longer really actually reports the news, they are actually more of a political organization pushing an ideology. They decided to do some research, and in this research, they wanted to study the military. They wanted to study bias and extremism in the military. And what they found is that there is, in fact, decades of extremism and bias in the military. And now, Mike, you are a military man. You've spent the majority of your adult life in the military. And I was just curious what your thoughts were of this particular, I'm going to do it this way, study.
It doesn't exist. This is a false narrative. The whole extremism in the military thing is non-existent. If it is there, it's less than in the general population by tenfold. This is just something that Lloyd Austin, the defense secretary, issued this edict on January 6th for a one-day stand down because of extremism in the military. Actually did this on January the 7th earlier this year, not January the 6th, because he said, well, it must clearly be the military's fault because we told the military to go in and strike down everybody and they didn't. So they clearly must be biased and extremists because they agree with them. His line of reasoning was ridiculous, Craig. Remember when they called for National Guard and military support, allegedly up there? That's still up in the air. Well, because the military didn't respond instantaneously, Lloyd Austin has made the decision that they're full of extremists that must side with Trump. Therefore, the entire military is corrupt. This is just crap. This is false narrative. This is them literally trying to, at some point, watch this, they're going to take arms and ammunition away from the military units that they don't believe are fully in favor of the Democrats and their tyranny.
Well, and it's interesting when you go and you read some of the things that they're talking about in this particular story. One of the things they talk about is the fact that, well, there's no quote unquote hate crimes. You're right in the judicial system there within the military. So there's no real way to charge someone if they are quote unquote, what they're doing is quote unquote racist. Now, once again, I'm just going to go back to it. Please define extremism, because in some cases they mark extremism as being conservative. But here, and they're likening conservative to being racist. So if you're conservative, you're racist. That's one thing I have an issue with.
This is how idiotic this is, Craig. First off, to answer that first question, here's the Uniform Code of Military Justice has been in existence for years and years and years and years
Right.
and years, and it covers everything. It's written different than state laws.
Right.
It's written different than federal laws for the specific purpose of it doesn't deal with normal people and normal specific situations.
Yep.
There's things in there like disobedience to a superior officer is a criminal offense. You can't do that kind of stuff for good military order and discipline. So it is written differently. There is nothing in there about a hate crime because it was written before a hate crime was a thing. But it has crimes against every individual covered, no matter what. If it was a white sergeant or a black officer, it doesn't matter. It's covered. It doesn't need anything else to enhance a penalty or anything along those ways. It's already in there. So it's ridiculous to think that the Uniform Code of Military Justice doesn't cover it. The second part, Greg, and this is the extremely ridiculous part.
Right.
These extremists. What's an extremist? They have defined extremist as oath keepers. Okay, oath keepers are those that take an oath, that swear an allegiance to the law of the land and the Constitution of the United States. The same thing that every military member does.
Right.
Under their own definition of extremist, an oath keeper is an extremist. Every member of the military has taken that oath. So every
supposedly every member of public office takes that oath.
Is an extremist. Exactly right. Every Boy Scout, every Girl Scout, every
school board member
ever taken it. I promise to do my best for God and country. With the 3-finger salute. That makes them extremist because they've taken an oath.
Well, in the end, what they want is they want people who agree with them. And that's really what it comes down to, is that if you don't agree with woke ideology, if you don't agree with the implementation of Marxism within our society, and if you dare challenge their particular perspective, you are considered to be an extremist. Now, here's a question that I have, Mike. So in the beginning of this whole piece, right, they start the article by suggesting that both former and at least one current active military officer or individual serviceman was involved in the riots that took place on January 6th, right? And they use that in and of itself as an example or proof of extremism in the military. Now,
oh my God, Craig! Oh my God, one officer out of 500,000 active duty soldiers.
Well, I don't even know if it was an officer. It may have just been a serviceman.
But one serviceman out of 500,000.
Right. But here's my question. So with the hundreds, right? But first of all, there's the people who didn't get arrested. But with the hundreds of students, college students who got arrested during the 2020 George Floyd riots, my question is that proof of extremism in higher education?
No. See, they didn't take an oath, Craig. They didn't take an oath. Does BLM have an oath? Maybe BLM has an oath. I don't know about it. Maybe there's some sort of
there's some sort of an oath that they have. Yeah. But I'm just saying, if merely being there is proof of extremism, then obviously, and by the way, we do know that there is extremism in our institutions of higher education. There is Marxist, Leninist, postmodernist socialism is being taught as an ideology known as social justice. Is being taught in universities across the country, and is part of the reason why we're dealing with some of the stupidity we're dealing with now, as America is what one used to argue were our finest minds are being educated into imbecility.
Yeah, you concur. Yeah, absolutely concur. It's there and it's unregulated. It's allowed to go. It's being fed in most locations, but yet here in the military, where it's good order and discipline every day, those are the extremists now.
Right. So moving right along. Now, speaking of speaking of extremists, let's talk about The View. So we talked about this. We talked about this the other day. The folks at The View are having a hard time finding. Or they're having a hard time finding a conservative co-host. Right. They're looking for a Republican who can be there and will be there on a consistent basis. Well, there's only one problem with that is that they've been interviewing people, but they don't want anyone who likes Donald Trump. They don't want anyone who isn't willing to call what happened on January 6th an insurrection and an attempt to take over the government. And basically, they don't want anyone who's Republican. And here's what else they don't want. They don't want anyone who is not vaccinated. This individual, her name is Lori Marie Booth. She has been on Fox News. I know they call her a Fox News star. I watched Fox News. I don't know that I would call her a star, but she interviewed and was actually they were going to offer her the particular gig, but because she decided that she was not going to get vaccinated, they decided that, well, no, we don't really want you on our program. So basically what they're saying is that, yeah, if you don't get shot. Now, mind you, if you watch it, they're all sitting 6 feet apart. They're all vaccinated, but because she's not vaccinated, they don't want her on the program.
Yeah, Lisa Marie Booth, right down out of South Florida. I think she's based out of. So, yeah, she's a conservative woman and did interview, like you said, did interview for the job. And when they found out about her vaccination status, they asked her about it, and she said, "Well, yeah, it's my middle finger to Joe Biden and his policies." She just like that, and they were like, "Okay, next." It was they didn't even give her a moment to explain. They were just like, "Let's move on. Let's move on." She'd made the top of the list, and all of a sudden came tumbling down because, like you said, it didn't meet their definition of what they needed for a conservative whipping boy or girl in that position.
Well, exactly. They want once again, they want someone who's going to sit there and apologize for the Republicans being Republican. Is what they really want there. My guess is, and here's the thing, I wouldn't be surprised if she's fully vaccinated and just is refusing to show proof of vaccination. In other words, she has papers, she's just refusing to show them.
I went to an event. This is how ridiculous some of this is, and this has to do with some government agencies. I'll say that. Where very recently went to this event within the last couple of days that if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. And if you're not vaccinated, you do have to wear a mask. Although if you're vaccinated, they do not ask you for proof of vaccination. If you're not vaccinated, they want a COVID test. So you see all the weird.
Well, yeah, it's like all I have to do is say that I'm vaccinated. So in other words, they don't really want you to be vaccinated. What they want is for you to say, I've bought in. I comply with your edicts. I am obedient, or at least I'm going to pretend to be obedient so that you can say that I'm obedient. That's what they want.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
And by the way, like I said, there are a lot of people I know who refuse to show proof of vaccination who've been vaccinated because
it's illegal in Florida. It's illegal in Florida. It's illegal in Florida. You can't be asked to show proof of vaccination in Florida. It's against the law.
Right. Anyway, it is insane. It is literally, especially when now we know you're just as likely to get COVID. I mean, I'm not going to say just as likely. Please, YouTube, don't suspend us. Don't suspend us. You can still get COVID Omicron, especially if you are vaccinated. This we know. You can still spread. That's been like
that way with COVID all along, right?
Right. You can still spread COVID if you are vaccinated. This we know. So that's not medical misinformation, YouTube. Just saying.
Right. Yep. Absolutely right. Yep. Oh boy, COVID. If I say it every once in a while, you think the censors will have to listen to the whole program? COVID. Just mention.
Well,
COVID.
see, here's how it works. Actually, what they do is they have these bots that go through and they listen for certain keywords, right? And when those keywords come up, that helps to get it flagged.
Hmm. So what if we mix certain words? Like that TV show Chopped, where they put weird food items in a basket and you have to make something of it. What
Yeah.
if we did that with words? We just threw random words out like
Mhm.
COVID, terrorist, pancake, bananas. You think that would set the
Flovid
bots
is
off?
fake.
Well, no. See, you just said it. I didn't. I said COVID,
No, no, no,
pancake,
no, no, no.
terrorist,
Listen to
banana.
what I said. I said Flovid is fake.
Oh, Flovid. Yeah, yeah.
Flovid is
COVID,
fake.
COVID with a T, right? COVID.
COVID. There you go. Is fake. And by the way, that also is medically true because there's no such thing as Flovid.
That's right. What about
There's
the
no such
COVID with
thing
a
as
K?
Flovid. I literally just made it up.
Yep, yep. What
So
about the COVID with the K? What about COVID with the K?
COVID with a K.
It's your generic COVID. You can get it down at the dollar store.
It's fake, folks. It's fake. Once again, YouTube, not medical misinformation. Just saying. Just saying. All right, moving right along. Turns out that looks like Mario Cuomo is going to get away
Not Mario.
with.
Andrew, you're right. Andrew.
Oh, I was right. Yeah, Andrew. I'm sorry.
Mario was his dad.
Mario was his dad. Yeah, he probably already got away with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying he did, YouTube. I'm not saying he did. I'm saying he probably did.
Yeah.
Anyway, the New York DA has said that they will not be pressing charges against Andrew Cuomo for sexually assaulting those who have worked under him, literally under him.
Yeah.
In some cases.
Yeah. Let me give you a little background on this story here. Listen, there various district attorneys from around the state in New York. We're looking at filing charges against him. Clearly, this was these were politically motivated. They did this to gain political favor when needed. They could say they were charging him yet or examining charges against him and not actually put the charges against him. So it didn't cross the party proper. What you have, and I give you what I know so far doing the research on it. Nassau County, Joyce Smith. She is the district attorney in Nassau County. That's on Long Island. That's the county that bumps up against Queens and Brooklyn there. But she examined putting charges against him and decided no, she could not. Now here's what they're all relying upon in the law. The law for sexual assault in New York is kind of inadequate according to them. Where if I did something, below your clothing or, forced you, against your will while doing something, that would meet the standard. However, just grabbing your shoulders and holding you and kissing your neck is not a sexual assault. It might be a simple touching assault, but it's not a sexual assault. So they were dropped charges in Nassau County. Joyce Smith, by the way, she was appointed by the governor as the district attorney back in June when her boss, District Attorney Madeline Singas, was selected to be a judge by Biden. So no conflict there, Craig, right? That she was appointed by the governor to be the district attorney.
No conflict there at all. I am shocked and amazed that you would believe that in New York politics that there might be some sort of impropriety.
Westchester County, the district attorney there, has also declined after looking at examining charges, has declined. That's Miriam Roach. By the way, she served from 2011 to 2017 as an appointed U.S. Assistant District Attorney, Southern District of New York, appointed by President Obama. No conflict there at all.
No conflict there at all.
Albany District Attorney is David Soares. He's been there since 2004 in the hotbed seat in Albany at the Capitol. Has been a close family friend of all of the Cuomos, Mario, Andrew, and Fredo for quite some time. The only one that ever took up any real action against the governor was the sheriff of Albany County, and he filed the charges without consulting the district attorney of Albany County. His name is Sheriff Craig Apple. Now he is a Democrat also, but he is constantly known as the Teflon Sheriff because the law is the law, and he doesn't care who's involved. That's what he stands on, the law.
Well, there you go. What a
So
novel concept.
he
The
filed the
law
charges,
being the
and the
law.
district attorney. Let me say he filed the charges, Craig, and the district attorney dropped them.
Oh, that is
Nope,
just
no politics involved at all, right? None.
nope. No politics at all there. No politics at all there. None whatsoever. All right, moving on to our next story. Now, residing in the state of California, this one is a little it's kind of personal to me. We've seen a dramatic increase in crime, not just in California, but I mean all across the country, but in particular in the state of California. And a lot of that can be traced back to the smart on crime philosophy that our former Attorney General, former U.S. Senator, and current Vice President Kamala Harris sought to implement here in the state of California, her and her fellow Democrats. It's included things like taking things that were felonies and turning them into misdemeanors, taking people out of state prison and putting them into county jails, and then taking people who are in county jails and letting them out early for good behavior. And now many of the people that were being let go were in fact people who were in for petty crimes or minor crimes. But a lot of the people who were being let go or who were being put out, who were being released, were maybe if the crime that they were there on was not violent, they had a history of violent crimes. Or in some cases, because California has a very narrow interpretation of what is a violent crime, then what you started to see was they started to implement this program in the state of California where they wanted to take good time, where normally you do good or you're good, you do good time. They'll cut your day in half. And they wanted to actually make it where they'll cut it by 2/3, meaning if you get a year in prison, you wind up or 3 years in prison, you actually wind up only serving 1 year with good behavior. Well, a judge has actually put a halt to this particular program of them releasing these prisoners early. And what I wanted to show you, Mike, and this is what really got me, was some of the things that, like right here, it says many of these so-called nonviolent second strikers have long and violent criminal histories, including repeat felony domestic violence convictions, sexual assaults, and gun violence. And that's from Anne Marie Schubert, who's our current district attorney here in Sacramento County. Literally some of the things that are not considered felonies are things like that include domestic violence, human trafficking, animal cruelty, and possession of weapons. These are the sorts of people, Mike, that are being released from prison, or at least California was trying to release from prison during a crime wave. They're looking to allow these folks to be released from prison.
You know, Craig, the prisoners are just because they're convicted and they're in jail doesn't mean they were wrong. Okay. We need to treat them like people and let them out, because if they are out of prison, then they get to vote and they get to tell everybody else how to vote for me because I took away their prison sentences and let them go. It's so transparent what they're doing there in California. Oh, look, I'll give people money. I'll let them out of jails. Guess what they're going to continue to do? Vote for Democrats. It's just, you might as well walk into the jury, into the courtroom and just hand money to the jury. Here you go.
Right.
Here you go. Thanks for being here. Here you go. Here's a 50 for you. Here's 100 for you. Thanks for being here. Oh, no conflict of interest, Your Honor. They're hardworking people and I'm taking care of them. It's ridiculous.
Well, the thing is we don't do we not recognize, and do we not recognize that decriminalizing crime doesn't work, defunding the police doesn't work, asking the police to work with both their hands tied behind their backs isn't working. It literally is not working, and that's the reason why we saw that Eric Adams get elected to be the mayor of New York City. It's the reason why you're seeing so many Democrats, and especially it's weird in California, you've got all these Democrat legislators and even the governor coming out talking about being tough on crime, but yet they keep pushing policies that allow criminals or encourage criminals to commit crime.
Well, Craig, when you're an elite and you have your own personal protection and your police details, you don't have to worry about all of that. You don't have to worry about the crime. You don't have to worry about anything else. Again, to me, I'm sorry, it's just so transparent. It's so easy to see that they're buying votes. They're keeping themselves protected like they're little bastards of royalty,
Yep.
and letting everybody else deal with the problems. Let the police deal with it. Let all the little people deal with it. I'm going to sit up here in my castle and find more people that could vote for me and let them do so. And I don't care what happens below me.
Exactly. That's kind of the way it's going to work out. That's the plan, and that's what they're going with. So, okay. Yep. Next story. The Texas school shooter, Timothy Simpkins, by the way, notice this. This is at Black Enterprise website, who claims self-defense, is arrested for violating bond. Now, Mike, there's a couple of things on this that I wanted to point out. The first is, I wonder if, and I looked through their website, I didn't see any time that they talked about Kyle Rittenhouse that they included in the headline that he claimed self-defense. I just noticed Kyle Rittenhouse didn't get that same sort of deference.
If you recall, go back and look at when George Zimmerman was arrested,
Right.
it was always the picture of his mugshot with the blood on his face or blood on his head. When Kyle Rittenhouse was charged and arrested, it was always his booking photo. It was never when they were youthful and exuberant. It was never there.
You mean like that?
With this, oh yeah, exactly right. That's what the suspect's photo always looked like. That's the Trayvon photo. Remember?
Yep.
That's the photo that we saw, because here's the media playing it up. Oh, look at this clean, wholesome cut, young African-American kid. He would never do anything wrong. By the way, here's our narrative again that we're pushing: whitey wrong, black kid right. That's the way it's going to be, because that's how we're pushing it. That's what we're getting from the media. That's what we get from our administration. Like we said, control them. Control the media, control the message, control the masses. And that's what you see going on here. Craig, did you ever see what his parents said, the reason he was bullied?
Yes, he was bullied because his parents made too much money.
Because they're financially blessed.
Right, they're financially blessed. So in other words, he's a rich kid and he got bullied at school. Now, mind you, bullying is a bad thing, and bullying is something that definitely needs to be addressed with kids. But here's the thing: is in this particular case, if you are being self-defense, you are under imminent attack. Meaning, if they are attacking you right now, you have a right to self-defense. You don't have a right to self-defense if you go home or go out, buy a gun, come back to school, and then start shooting people. That's not self-defense. Not under the law, as far as I know.
That's called premeditated crimes. That's what that is.
Exactly.
That is not self-defense.
Right. And by the way, folks, he got out on a $75,000 bond.
Can you use a firearm in self-defense? Obviously,
yes.
We know that. Can you use a firearm in self-defense if you bring a firearm someplace illegally where it's for you to have? Nope. Not a chance. Not a chance. Can't bring it with you. Can't take it to the school. Can't take it to other places where it's used. That's part of self-defense. That's part of you can have broken no other law to use self-defense. All right.
Right. Well, yeah, there you go. See? All right, moving right along, we're going to move on to our parting shot of the day. Okay, we're going to take a chance here with this one, Mike. This is actually going to include some medical information. But I'm pretty sure it is well sourced. Okay? So this is, if you're looking at, for those of you who are wondering what it would be a reasonable therapeutic to use for Omicron, if you get the Omicron variant. Now, this is a joke, YouTube. If you're watching, this is totally a joke. This is not serious. We are not trying to be serious. So let me make that very clear to you. All right? So these are supposedly the symptoms, some of the key top 5 symptoms of Omicron: runny nose, headache, fatigue, sneezing, sore throat. And, there is a long-known solution that we have to that, or that deals with and addresses those symptoms. It's the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head fever so you can rest medicine, otherwise known as NyQuil.
That it's listen. I know you said, Craig, that we're not making fun of everything, but we are just posting two pieces of information. That's all we're doing. Posting two pieces of information side by side, and letting the observer, the viewer, make their own informed decision.
Yes, this is not medical advice. If you have tuned in here to get your medical advice, you really, you really tuned into the wrong place. But you know, it is to speak to this that there's been enough studies. There's actually was a study that came out of South Africa that basically noted that one, it is definitely less severe. The symptoms are less severe from Omicron. And in some cases, they in this study in particular, they said that Omicron can actually help protect you from the Delta variant. They're saying that if you get the antibodies from Omicron, it will protect you from the, or at least it will protect you from. I don't know if it will protect you from getting the Delta variant, or if it, but mostly what I know is it'll protect you from having severe symptoms of the Delta variant.
Well, there we go. We can look forward to that, right? So you
Right.
get the Omicron, you're good against the Delta. Does that mean I don't need the booster or I don't need the vaccination?
I'm not saying that. I'm not. We are not going to answer that question for fear of incrimination and getting kicked off again.
Self COVID incrimination. I'm not going to
Self-COVID
self COVID
incrimination.
incriminate. I'm
I
not going to
just,
self
you know,
COVID
YouTube
incriminate.
just kills me because they're just, it's like, dude, this is, you're not allowed to tell jokes, right? Something that's
Yeah.
obviously a joke. And you're also not allowed to pass along actually competently sourced information either.
Right.
But
Yeah.
then again, that's YouTube. All
Yeah.
right. Hey,
Yeah.
Mikey, how about a shout out to our sponsors?
Let's hey to our good friends at Guerrilla Machining, Grid Defense, and the California Republican Assembly. Make sure you check them out there. Their links are right there below, and say hey to them, because you support them, you support us, and we support you. You supporting them.
Exactly. Remember, folks, like, share, subscribe, and encourage your friends to do the same. We will be back with you tomorrow on Freedback Friday.
Woo woo.